Welcome to a new episode of Discover Daily, your daily podcast curated by Perplexity. I'm your host, Alex, and my voice is powered by 11 Labs. We've got a lot to unpack this episode, so let's begin with our first story. The third man syndrome, also known as the third man factor, refers to a mysterious phenomenon often reported by people who find themselves in extreme, life-threatening situations. Survivors of these harrowing experiences, such as mountaineers, explorers, and sailors, have described feeling the presence of an unseen being who provides support, comfort, and even guidance to help them survive. Key characteristics of third man syndrome include the presence being felt during times of intense stress, fear, or isolation, such as being lost at sea or stranded on a mountain. The third man offers encouragement, reassurance, or practical advice to help the person survive. The experience is usually described as a sense of someone being nearby, a voice, or even a physical touch, but no one is actually there. One of the most famous accounts of third man syndrome comes from explorer Ernest Shackleton, who reported feeling the presence of an extra member during his treacherous Antarctic expedition in 1916. After Shackleton's experience, other survivors came forward with similar stories, and the phenomenon was popularized by T.S. Eliot's poem, The Wasteland. While the exact cause remains unknown, theories suggest it may be a coping mechanism created by the brain under extreme duress, a form of hallucination, or a result of the brain's response to danger, while others believe it could have spiritual or paranormal origins. Transitioning to our next segment, Spain has abolished its top national prize for bullfighting, sparking intense debate. The move by Culture Minister Ernest reflects changing attitudes, with only 1.9% of Spaniards attending bullfights last season. Animal rights groups applaud the decision, arguing the tradition cannot justify cruelty with public funds. However, supporters decry it as an affront to cultural heritage, with the opposition vowing to restore the prize if elected. Urtasun expressed that a growing majority of Spaniards find it difficult to justify animal cruelty being subsidized with public funds. Critics say bulls endure immense pain and fear before an almost certain death. The decision has angered bullfighting supporters who view it as an integral part of Spanish heritage. Some prominent figures, like former tennis player Garbine Muguruza, have expressed sadness at the prize's abolition, appreciating the aesthetics and folklore of bullfighting even if they haven't attended events. In response, several regional governments have announced plans to establish their own bullfighting prizes. The opposition Conservative Popular Party, PP, has pledged to restore the national prize if it regains power, accusing the government of disregarding cultural diversity and freedom. In other news, the rise of synthetic coffee promises a more sustainable future for one of the world's most popular beverages. Startups like Atomo Coffee and Compound Foods are using advanced techniques to recreate coffee without beans, drastically reducing emissions and water usage. Atomo claims their beanless coffee generates 93% fewer carbon emissions and uses 94% less water than conventional coffee. Compound Foods is using synthetic biology to recreate coffee flavors and aromas, examining what makes coffee unique at the molecular level. Their preliminary analysis indicates their product has 1/10 of the greenhouse gas emissions and water usage of traditional coffee. The primary motivation is addressing the environmental toll of the coffee industry, as rising global demand has driven deforestation and climate change threatens suitable coffee-growing land. By 2050, half of current coffee-growing areas could become unproductive. However, synthetic coffee also raises questions about its impact on traditional coffee farmers and workers, particularly in developing nations reliant on the coffee economy. Consumer acceptance and scalability will also be key factors in its future. Shifting gears, did you know the famous "May 4th be with you" phrase originated from a 1979 newspaper ad congratulating Margaret Thatcher, not Lucasfilm or Disney? The pun on the Star Wars line grew organically as a fan celebration before being officially embraced over a decade later. While the date is now embraced as an annual Star Wars celebration by Lucasfilm and Disney, it did not originate from them. The phrase's origin stems from wordplay on the famous Star Wars catchphrase, "May the Force be with you," rather than any official designation. Star Wars fans began celebrating May 4th more widely online over a decade ago, and the phrase exploded, and it kept growing, according to Steve Sansweet, former head of fan relations at Lucasfilm. For our main segment today, billionaire Warren Buffett has expressed significant concerns about the potential misuse of AI technology, particularly its ability to enhance scams and fraud. Buffett warned about AI's capacity to create misleading deepfakes and voice clones, drawing parallels to the transformative yet destructive power of the atomic bomb. While acknowledging AI's enormous potential for good, he emphasized the need for caution and ethical safeguards against its harmful applications. Buffett shared a personal anecdote about encountering a deepfake video of himself used by a fraudster to solicit funds, highlighting the convincing nature of AI-generated content. He also reflected on the historical presence of scams in American society and expressed concern over the increasing sophistication of AI-generated images and videos, making it challenging to discern authentic from fabricated content. Buffett's comments underscore a broader debate about the ethical use of AI and the need for safeguards against its misuse. Despite his reservations, he indicated a nuanced view, recognizing AI's potential benefits while calling for protective measures to address the risks associated with its development and application. That's all for today's episode of Discover Daily. Thank you for tuning in. If you want to learn more about these stories, you can find links to each one in the episode description. Be sure to subscribe to Discover Daily on your favorite podcast platform and download the Perplexity app on Android or iOS. We'll see you back here tomorrow with more stories, so until then, stay curious.